What it do, what it do, I'm back. Make sure y'all like, share, and subscribe to the channel of Tay Luciano Media. That's Tay Luciano Media. Man, it's been a long 10 days, but I'm officially back. You know what I'm saying? While a lot of things was going on, I was locked out of my account, but I'm back. You know what I'm saying? So I didn't get a chance to touch on everything that's been transpiring over these last couple of weeks, right? But definitely RIP to the late Hulk Hogan. You know what I mean? He is somebody that, and this is the reason why I'm making this video, because of Hulk Hogan, but he is definitely somebody that came in the wrestling world and made it commercial. Now, it was a lot of wrestlers before him, after him, but he basically did what Michael Jordan did to the NBA. You know what I'm saying? He commercialized it. I think he was definitely like, you know, in his best when the NWO started. When the NWO started, that just took him over and beyond. He was already a huge superstar in the wrestling world, but when the NWO started back in '96, that just transcended him to a whole nother level with Scott Hall, Kevin Nash, you know what I'm saying, and himself. When it started, it was something new, it was something fresh, you know what I mean? Wrestling went from, you know, the good guy, the all-American, the superhero, to it's like now wrestlers is putting more of their personality into the character. You know what I mean? I heard, I was listening to a interview a while back, and Kevin Nash, and shout out to Kevin Nash. Kevin Nash is actually from Detroit. But I was listening to an interview, him saying that a lot of the stuff that they was doing, some of the stuff that they was doing wasn't scripted. It wasn't, it was real authentic of how they felt and just what they wanted to do. Hulk Hogan is somebody that took the business and just blew it up. You know what I mean? From the movies to the action figures to the commercials, you know, everything. You know what I mean? And once the NWO was started, that just, man, it just took it to overload, like hands down. You know what I mean? I remember growing up as a kid and just watching, you know what I mean, wrestling, a lot of it, you know. This was before cell phones, this is before social media. You know, only thing we had at that time was being outside and watching things on TV. You know, we didn't have a lot of things to distract us the way we do now. You know what I mean? But I remember watching like Monday Nitro when NWO started, and man, that shit was lit. You feel me? Like that, it was a different type of time because, like I said, that's all it was. You know what I'm saying? And they ratings was through the roof. Like WCW ratings was through the roof for like 3.5, 4 years. Ratings was through the roof. While, you know, WWF at the time later became WWE, all of WCW shows was live. You know what I mean? While WWF at the time was doing house shows. So that means everything that they was doing at that point in time was tape. You know what I mean? While they shows coming on live. So you really didn't, even though it was scripted, a lot of that, you really didn't know what was going to happen. I could remember watching a show and Eric Bischoff was giving out the information about the other network, which was WWF at the time, letting the people know on air what was going to happen over there. That was never done before that. You know what I mean? That was unheard of. But I think when the NWO started, it really sparked something in the wrestling world. It sparked just this whole attitude era. And you actually, from that, you seen Vince McMahon and the WWF, which is now the WWE, at the time, get on that same bandwagon, because it transcended what was just, it transcended what the norm, what was going on. And you seen a lot of wrestlers like the Stone Colds and the Rock and Shawn Michaels and Triple H put more of themselves into the character. And that's what made wrestling even better, because it was getting to the point where all the tradition stuff was over and done with. All the other stuff that wrestlers for so many years that they was doing, it went to a whole nother level. And that made him even a bigger star. I mean, they had merch. They was doing, the NWO was doing their own type of commercials. The commercials would come out of nowhere. You know what I mean? It was just something different and fresh. And at that point in time, it was probably one of the biggest shows that was on cable television. At this time, the cable was taking off. Everybody is itching for cable. You know what I mean? It was just one of those things where it was almost kind of like watching LeBron come to the league and just dominate the league. You know what I mean? So when they started out, it was something new, it was something fresh. And who was in the front of the whole train that was making the train move forward was Hulk Hogan. You know what I mean? So it was just something different. And at that point in time, WCW had all the legends. You know what I mean? Watching Razor Ramon and Kevin Nash come, come right over to the WCW. You know what I mean? It was just something different. It was something new. It was something fresh. But some people would say that he was a racist. Some people would actually say that he was. But, coming to find out, the whole beef between him and his daughter, Brooke, I think that's what her name is, that he was basically telling her, like, if you're going to date somebody with some money, date somebody that's got a couple of dollars, you know what I mean? Go get you an NBA player or an NFL player or somebody that's just worthy, you know what I mean? I don't think he wanted his daughter to date, I'm not going to say a black guy, but if you're going to date somebody that's black, let it be someone that's with some motion, with some, you know what I mean? Date somebody that's worth dating. And I think that's what he was, from my knowledge, what he was letting her know. But I think Hulk Hogan had a tremendous run. He was somebody that, a lot of people liked Hulk Hogan, loved Hulk Hogan. And I think once the NWO started, I think more black people engaged with him more than they did per se when he was the All-American, say your prayers, eat your vitamins, so to speak. I think because it was like the cool thing. It was like the cool shit to do, to be a part of. Like, damn, they wearing all black, coming out, interrupting matches. They coming out, and you could see that they was really saying a lot of stuff, how they really felt about the business and how the business was being ran. And I done watched interviews in the past of them saying, like, a lot of the stuff that they were saying, 85% of the stuff that they were saying, even on the mic, was how they actually felt. You know what I mean? I remember one time, Hulk Hogan was basically saying like, yo, I made professional wrestling. I will always be bigger than professional wrestling. I made this business. And he was really telling the truth at that point. And this was on a Nitro episode where he was like, man, I'm bigger than professional wrestling. I made professional wrestling. If it wasn't for me, it wouldn't even be professional. Like, he was saying all of this on a live show. And right then and there, I'm like, yeah, this is something different. And later on in the interview, he was saying like, nah, that was something I actually said because I actually felt that way. So when I was hearing all of this, I was like, damn. And then years later down the line, for him to be in the interview and was like, nah, this is how I really felt and how I was looking at myself in the business. I was bigger than professional wrestling. I made professional wrestling what it is. I commercialized it. You know what I'm saying? I took it to the next level, you know. So I think that a lot of that, when the NWO started, it was something definitely different. You know what I mean? And a lot of people was rocking with that NWO movement. They really was. You know, some might say, nah, yeah. A lot of people was rocking with that. They was. I remember as a kid, it was this store at this particular mall. The mall is closed down now, but I remember they had this store. It was like a wrestling store. And they used to sell a lot of t-shirts. And I can remember so vividly that a lot of those NWO shirts, a lot of those Scott Hall and, you know, Kevin Nash or anything that was surrounding the NWO, a lot of those shirts was being sold out. I remember being a kid going in there several times, and a lot of those shirts would be sold out like that, gone. You know what I mean? And I highly doubted that it was just white America that was just buying those shirts. You know what I mean? From the magazines to the action figures to the shirts to the hats, you know, the pay-per-view matches. You know what I mean? Somebody, I won't say I grew up with them, but somebody that my brother grew up with at the time was huge. A huge wrestling fan. I'm talking about huge. And I can remember him ordering the pay-per-view matches and going over to his house. And that was a big thing. You know what I mean? That was a big, big thing. You know, for me growing up, it was rap music and it was wrestling. You know what I'm saying? That was it. You know what I mean? And like I said, this was before social media. Ben jumped off the porch, all of that. So like, that was the main two things that was going on at that particular time. So, you know, I would have to say long live Hulk Hogan. He definitely somebody that transcend professional wrestling into the commercial world. And once the NWO started, I think that just took it all the way over and beyond. You know what I mean? That just took it over and beyond. And that's what started the whole Attitude Era. That's what started it, was him being a good guy and turning into this whole heel and, you know, wearing black and white. You know what I'm saying? And it's just, oh man. But make sure y'all like, share, and subscribe to the channel. If you know better, you'll do better. Hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, and subscribe to the channel at Tay Luciano Media. That's Tay Luciano Media. Peace.